Hello, good morning, guys. So today I'll be showing you an important concept in the forex trading industry. So today we'll be talking about Malaysian SnR. Now, Malaysian SnR is another type of trading support and resistance. The XA means support and resistance. Support, then arrow means resistance. Yet the directional way we mark our support and resistance is, maybe if you go to the chart now, let's say we go to the chart now. Let's say, for instance, if we want to mark support and resistance here in the chart, you can decide to mark it like this. Remember, we say any turning point in the market is our support. You might decide to mark up something like this, or mark out this point. So these places are support, but now we'll be doing this in a different way, which is we're doing it with the Malaysian style. Now I've listed out some Malaysian SnR here. And like I told you, I said Malaysian SnR is another way of trading support and resistance. Now, what is support and what is resistance? Now, support is any turning point in the market. Also, resistance is any turning point in the market. That's just the simplest definition of support and resistance. Now, we have three types of Malaysian SnR. The first one is the one we call the strong high or the A top, and strong low. The first one, we have the strong high, which is called the A top, and the strong low, which is called the V bottom. That's the first type of Malaysian SnR. Then the second type of Malaysian SnR is the closing price of candles. And the third type of Malaysian SnR is the classical SnR. Now let me draw some examples here. Okay, check this out. Okay, let's start with the first one. Now, for the strong highs and strong low, you can easily spot them when you switch over to your line chart. For instance, let's say you're in a downtrend. For you to create a strong low, you have to have something like this. This becomes your V bottom, and this becomes your SnR. This point here becomes your SnR. So what happens is, if the market goes up, continue buying and eventually come back, maybe and tap into this SnR, it will now buy back to this point. Something like this. So this is for the V bottom. You can also put a box around that place. So something like this. This is for the V bottom. Then for the A top, you have something like this coming down. So as you already know from the other one, where the SnR will be at the top of this place, which is here. So this becomes your SnR. So what will now happen if the market comes back to this point? So I don't know what's wrong with my mouse. You can also choose to put a box at this point. So this is how to trade the V tops and V bottom. Now the second type of Malaysian SnR is the one we call the closing price of candles. Let's say you have a candlestick like this. Let me just change it to black. You have a candlestick like this. Let's say you have a candlestick like this, and you have another candlestick coming down. So we say the second type of SnR is the closing price of candle. So what is now going to be your SnR? Now for a bearish candle like this one, now the SnR is now going to be, for a bearish candle, it opens above and close below. Then maybe to have something like a wick here. So your wick becomes your high and your low. You get now the SNR here becomes the closing price of this candle, since we say it opens above and close below for a bearish candle. So this particular point here where it closed here, where this last candle closed, becomes your SNR. So what will now happen in future? Once the market comes down, continue coming down, and maybe finally taps into this point, it will come down. You get something like this, it will come down. To come down. You get therefore a bullish scenario. Let me just use the same candle. Now for a bullish scenario, we have something like this, and let's say we have another candle here coming down like this. So let's change this one to, let's say, white going up. Let me not use white, let me use blue candle. So remember what we say for a bearish candle. We say for a bearish candle it opens above and close below. For a bullish candle it opens below and close above. Okay, let's say we have this candle here. And we have another candle. Now we see for the second type of SNR is the closing price of the previous candle. So since this bullish candle opens below and closes above, this particular point becomes your SNR. So what happens is maybe the market continue going higher, something like this, and maybe further coming down. If you hit this point, it will go. So this is the second type of Malaysian SNR. Now the third type of Malaysian SNR is the one we call the classical SNR. So for the classical SNR, you have something like this. Change it to black. So you have something like this, and you have something like this is a bearish candle, and you have something like this. Okay, so this is the third type of Malaysian SNR, the classical SNR. So at this point, for you to draw your SNR here, you draw it this way. So now this same candle, some people might call this candle an order block. You get this particular candle, call it a bullish order block. Now the name does not matter. You get the most important thing here is that you get the concept. You get. You can choose to call it anything you want to call it, but for me, it is an SNR. Okay, so what I do is, if the market taps into any of these zones, I want to see a reaction inside any of these zones for me to get a confirmation entry for me to continue buying. But once the market comes to this last part here, I will just snipe it from there to this point. Yes, I'm able to explain what this Malaysian SNR is. So let me go into my chart and show you some of these stuffs. Normal trends. Okay, so now we are on good charts. Let me start from, let me use the daily time frame for this. Now let's start with that type of SNR, which is, let's start by marking out the strong highs. And I told you for that one you have to use the line charts for you to know where you have the strong highs and strong lows. If you cannot see it, you get, but with practice you don't need to be switching to line chart, you can just see it from there. You get. Now I want to be marking out strong highs and strong low in the market. Well, we said A tops and V bottoms, you get. So that means this place becomes my support, this place becomes, my resistance, this place becomes my resistance, this place becomes my resistance, this place becomes my support. I'm just marking out the major ones. There are a lot of SNRs here. I'm just marking out the major ones. So here we have a V bottom here. We also have a V bottom here. We also have a V bottom here. We also have an A top here. think the market just broke through this point. We also have another V. So this is how to mark your Malaysian SNR using the strong highs and strong lows. You can call it the V tops and the V bottom. So if you go ahead, you still have a lot of SNRs here. It's a lot. So you switch back to your candlestick. So this is how it looks like. You get on your candlestick pattern. You get. Now let's go over to the next type of Malaysian SNR, which is the closing price of candles. You get. So for the closing price of candles, I will just go to the weekly time frame. Before that, let me clear out all these drawings. So one time frame. So the closing price of candles, you get. Now remember what I said. Once you have a bearish candle coming down and you have another candle coming out, that place becomes an SNR. For instance, this is an SNR. This one is an SNR too. So you just be making all the stuff. You get like this point now. See, there was a reaction there also. You also have a lot of them. Just marking the like the closing price of the previous candle. That place becomes your SNR. Just like this one here, the closing price of the previous candle. Yes, closing price of previous candle. So you can continue marking it that way. But for me, where I normally use this closing price of candles, like this particular one is on a monthly time frame. Let me check my monthly time frame. But before that, let me clear out all these stuff. Move 1 month. So I normally use that on the monthly time frame. You get closing price of candle. So after each month, I'll mark out the closing price of that candle. For instance, let's say this place now. This is the month of. This is February. You get, and this month I've already started. March has started. So what I will do is I'll mark out the closing price of this candle here, which is this. The closing price of the candle. Can zoom. So what happens is on the lower time frame, maybe on the 4-hour time frame, once market comes back to that point, I see this is this point here. So at any point in time, if the market comes back to this point, I will buy this market to this point. You get. So let me continue. Closing price of candle monthly. So on the monthly time frame, that is the only thing I do. Just looking for closing price of the previous month's candle. It's very, very effective. You get. So this is not a strategy on its own. I'm just showing you how to mark out your SNR. You get. So this was the closing price of the previous month. I see how the market taps into that point, and you had the sniper. The closing price of the previous month, you had this. See, you also had this closing price of the previous month. So it's how to mark out your SNR closing price of the previous month. You also have the closing price of the previous month here. A lot, like you have a closing price of the previous month. Yeah, so that's how to mark your SNR. You get. Now remember what I said. I said for the monthly time frame, what I do is I mark out the SNR of the last monthly candle. But let's check here, for instance. Now let's say I want to mark out this place here. Now I want to mark out this closing price of this candle. So let's go to the 1 hour time frame and see what happened there. There's that point. Okay, so this is a point, but let me go to the 5 hour time frame. So are you seeing how this place was acting as support? If it breaks above it, it will act as a resistance. If it breaks below it, it will act as. If we break below it, act as a resistance. If we break above it, it will act as a support. That is very, very effective. Yes. So that is how to mark with the closing price of candles. Now the last part of Malaysian SNR is the classical SNR. Okay, now for the classical SNR, you mark out. The way to mark it out is this way. This. Remember I give you an example. So I using this candle here, where you have a bearish candle followed by a bullish big candle. That place becomes your classical SNR. So what you do, you mark out the bodies. Yet now if you want to, maybe you want to like be more precise, you can mark out with the wick. something like this. But me, what I do, I mark out the bodies alone of that candle, the bodies alone of that last candle. That is what I do. So this is it, the closing price of. Sorry, this is the classical SNR here. Okay. So see how the market tap into that point. Let me go to the 1 hour time frame. So the market taps into this point and give a rejection. Now in this type of SNR, you can also have refinement. Okay, because if you check, you can actually refine. You can actually refine that same SNR to this one here. So I'm trying to set up this. There's this setting I had. Let's say I have something like this, so you can refine it further. You get to make the market tap into this point. You're taking a buy entry like this and stop loss below this zone. Okay. You see the market got. So this is how to mark out your Malaysian SNR using the classical method. So the classical method is actually one of my favorites, the way I mark out my SNR. You get. Now remember, this also work with the trend. You get. See, this is how I mark out my SNR. It also work with the trend. So if the market is in an uptrend, what you do, you mark out support alone. Yes. If the market is in a downtrend, you mark out resistance alone. Okay, because in an uptrend, resistance will not hold. It's only support that will be holding. Like this one here now, we have a good support here, which is an SNR, this particular one. So at any point in time, if the market comes down to this point, that would be my point of entry to buy this market back upward. I hope I was able to show you how to mark out your SNR using the classical method approach. You also have here, okay, as a resistance. So there are a lot of SNR. You can just go back test and you get. Now I do not use the Malaysian SNR alone to trade. I combine it with brick of structure and other factors to trade. Maybe in my next video I will also explain that. So bye.